Hey all, you're from the neighborhood quarter guy here, and I have a big announcement to make. I am now officially partnered with Puron Digital Multi-Channel Network. What's this change going to bring? Well, it's probably not going to change the content that comes on my site, but yeah, this is an exciting new step for me and my channel. And hopefully this will make things more exciting for the channel. Just a brief announcement there. Also, another big update. I'm almost done with the script for my top 15 favorite final bosses. Once the script is done for that, I'll try to begin editing for that as soon as possible, so that I can be ready for June. So, what to talk about today? How about how the hype train quickly derailed for the Hoenn remakes? I mean, there was this big stream in Japan for the Pokemon Live. They were hyping this big gameplay reveal for Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby. Ultimately, what it led to is the reveal of 3D cinematics for Kyogre and Groudon. Yeah, we were hoping for a little more, like, gameplay footage, but ultimately it got me to thinking. Sometimes I wonder if gamers place their expectations too high. I mean, when we hype up something too much, we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. Yeah, I hate to be blunt like that, but it's the truth. Yeah, it's like when we hear about some, it's basically one of the biggest examples of this is the so-called Sonic cycle. It's like a Sonic game shows up, we get excited for it. They show more footage, we get even more excited for it, and it eventually comes out and the fans are disappointed and they find something to bitch about. That's another thing I have to bring up. I think we'd all be happier if we didn't actively, if everyone stopped. It's like if everyone who actively looked for something to bitch about just stopped looking for things to bitch about. Yeah, there are things worse. I mean, there are things worth bitching about, and then there's just overblowing nitpicking. Yeah, this world would be a lot happier if we had less of the latter. Tumblr, anyone? Okay, I can't think of any other news to talk about right now, but before I get to user questions, I need to make something clear. Yeah, I often find myself answering questions from the same people. I'm wondering if a lot of you people don't know how to send me a private YouTube message, or don't have a Tumblr account, or there goes my phone again. At least it didn't whistle. Yeah, but for those of you who don't know how to send me a private message, just go to my channel, go to About, and click the Send Message button. That should allow you to message me if you have a YouTube account. So anyways, today's first question comes from Joe Olson. He asks, favorite game from a franchise you dislike? I don't really play games from franchises I dislike, to be honest. Because, let's face it, I dislike said franchises. However, I've kind of grown indifferent to Street Fighter, mainly because of, even in this day of, in this age of digital distribution, they couldn't just, you know, make some updates. Well, actually, I shouldn't really say that. Well, Super Street Fighter 4 was the only real instance of that. Everything else was either, the other versions either gave you the option to get the DLC for the existing game or get it as a standalone. So as far as the Street Fighter series, of which I've ultimately grown indifferent, I would have to say my favorite from that series is Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. I believe it was the best on a technical level. True, it didn't have all the original characters, but the characters that did show up in the Street Fighter 3 Third Strike were mostly good, and the mechanics were probably the best. And thankfully, Capcom's trying to prevent its services from going offline when when GameSpy goes down. So yeah, I don't hate Street Fighter, I'm just indifferent, but Street Fighter 3 Third Strike is my favorite of that series. Next question comes from Matthew Stritmatter, who asks, what do you think of the new copy abilities in Kirby Triple Deluxe? Okay, let's go over them one by one. My least favorite of the group is Circus, mainly because for me, it felt awkward to use. I mean, its standard attack just launched you forward and then bounced you right back. It kind of felt awkward. And really, you're attacking with balloons and flaming bowling pins. And jumping through flaming hoops. I don't know, it just felt awkward for me. The other three abilities I like. Beetle is pretty cool. It can be effective against bosses if used properly. I also like the way it just grab enemies and slam them into the ground. Then there's Bell Kirby, which I thought looked pretty funny. It's like the way you're using bells to attack your opponents. Sound waves. You know, sound waves have had some dangerous applications, to be honest. But it's funny the way they're used in Kirby Triple Deluxe. Not to mention, Kirby hiding in the Bell Shield is pretty hilarious. But my favorite of the four new abilities, by far, is the Archer ability. It helped me get to the true arena. Mainly, the arrows were quick to charge, you could aim them wherever you wanted, within reason. You could fire multiple arrows in the air. You could melee if you were close in. But that's not the best part. Camouflage is an absolutely perfect defense. Well, almost absolutely perfect. I mean, it protects you from almost anything. Anything. Almost any attack that an enemy can throw at you, camouflage lets you dodge. And you can keep it up as long as you hold down the button. So yeah, camouflage pretty much breaks the game. As it makes some boss battles ridiculously easy. And it's the only way I can it's probably the best way to dodge some of those attacks that the bosses throw at you. So I have to ask one thing. Why did they get rid of Water Kirby? Gah! Next question comes from Jack Stevenson, who asks, what is the one game you thought was overrated? That I've played? Okay, I'm not gonna say this in terms of you suck if you like this game, because I can understand why people like this game. I just didn't find the same enjoyment that others did. That game is Shadow of the Colossus. Granted, it's not bad. It's just not for me. Yeah, I can appreciate the whole art and storytelling thing, but there were a couple big turnoffs for me. The first one, while I can appreciate the idea of a huge open overworld, I would prefer Bionis and Mechonis from Xenoblade Chronicles and Hyrule from Legend of Zelda to the overworld of Shadow of the Colossus. For one big reason. Those two overworlds actually had things in them. Yeah, the whole idea of a huge and empty overworld just didn't sit well with me. The other thing, Agro's controls. I could not get used to them at all. They felt really finicky. They didn't feel conducive to tight gameplay for me. I just couldn't get used to them. Epona from the Zelda series controlled a lot better, in my opinion. Just felt more natural. From what I heard, the people at Sony were trying to emulate how it would feel to control a real horse. But I have to say one thing. I don't play video games for realism. So yeah, I can understand why people enjoy Shadow of the Colossus, but I just couldn't get into it. Next question comes from Jonathan Kimmel, who asks, do you play Minecraft? If not, would you like to? Yeah, the thing about Minecraft is it just doesn't appeal to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just into the sandbox genre as some people are, but Minecraft just doesn't appeal to me for some odd reason. I don't know. I just I'm not quite sure. I just can't put my finger on it, but something about Minecraft just doesn't appeal to me. Oh well, to each their own, I guess. Not gonna criticize someone for their tastes. That would be unprofessional. Final question comes from Omega Snake. Hey Snake. He asks, what was your opinion on the ending of the Season 4 finale of MLP? Okay, like I've said multiple times before, I am indifferent to MLP, but some people really wanted me to see at least the fight sequence from the Season 4 finale. All I can say is, the writers and animators must be huge fans of Dragon Ball Z.